Welcome everybody to the Backmarkers F1 show. My name is Chris. A little bit of a different setup this week. I'm joined by Tyler McDonald from the comfort of his own home and his couch. This week, Shaker is away on a movie set, so we don't have access to our normal studio. But anyway, we wanted to bring you a podcast recapping the 2020 British Grand Prix, which will be a little bit shorter today. But nonetheless, we'll try and cover everything that we saw in the race. Tyler, welcome.
Thank you. Well, this is a different setup, but nothing out of the ordinary for us. We're used to working with the best scenarios that we can make and make sure we get the proper videos out for you guys. I'm sure also, Chris, I know you're wondering, why in God's name am I wearing a Brentford jersey? I'm not a fan of Brentford. Let's just get that clear. I am a Tottenham fan. But they are playing in the EFL Championship against Fulham to see if they can go to the Premier League. I saw these two teams play actually 4 years ago at Griffin Park in Brentford. Beautiful stadium. Actually, it's going to get torn down. They just built a new one. But I just thought I'd support and cheer on a team that I saw in England a few years back. And I don't know. I'm hoping they can pull it off because they haven't been in the Premier League for since the 40s or something like that. So
Wow,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe some UK fans actually are familiar with the team, or maybe are fans of the team themselves. So that's cool.
Yeah, and again, not a fan at all by them, but I'm just giving them my support.
It is a nice
So
jersey.
It is. I thought I'd rep the jersey.
Good. All right. Well, actually, keeping on the terms of UK and England and Britain, we are talking about the British Grand Prix, and it's been a couple of days removed, and I'm just curious to know what your initial thoughts of the race were, Tyler. I know we were kind of messaging back and forth that there wasn't really much going on until about the last 5 laps or 10 laps or so of the race. The first 12 laps or so was kind of a bit exciting just with all the safety car woes and everything, but I just kind of wanted to start with just sort of general thoughts and impressions on the race.
Yeah, I mean, the start of the race was pretty dramatic, of course, with Hulkenberg not being able to start and the collision between Alex Albon and Kevin Magnussen, obviously. And then it really settled down from there. There was nothing that happened for, 45 laps, pretty much. And then the ending was almost a classic, I'd say. Almost a classic.
Yeah, it was close. I don't think we've really seen an ending like that too often.
No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, the only thing I can think of is someone binning it on the last corner would be Vettel binning it in Canada. But obviously Jenson Button won that race.
Yeah, you know what? The other one I thought of actually on Canada, it was I think it was 1989 or it was a long time ago, but Nigel Mansell stalled it at the hairpin on the final lap. I don't know if you remember that.
Not off the top of my head.
I think it was it was still when they had the manual clutch, so I feel like the reasoning was that he just left the revs too low because it's obviously such a slow corner, and then he just stalled it, and I think it was Senna or Piquet that won the race behind him. That was sort of the only sort of scenario, but even that's not necessarily comparable, but I don't think we've ever seen a driver win half a lap of the last race just on 3 wheels.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it was at least they made it dramatic for the last little bit. And I really feel for Bottas because I mean, if anyone he wanted to having a lap earlier to would be Hamilton just for the championship's sake.
Yeah.
But now Bottas doesn't score any points, so Hamilton gains 25 points clean in the driver's standings, which is tough for Bottas and kind of widens the gap already. And we're only on race 4.
Yeah, exactly, man. It was tough for him, and kind of like Max's engineer said about Lewis, lucky boy.
Oh yeah, very lucky.
Yeah, but
even Bottas said that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, well, his gap was so big, and we'll get into that a little bit later, just in terms of whether Red Bull should have made the pit stop or not made the pit stop. But still, it was remarkable just to kind of hear. I don't know if people heard the team radio between Hamilton and his race engineer on the final lap. Totally calm. You would never know that he just had a puncture and was possibly going to lose the lead of the race. So I was amazed at just how calm they were and relaxed. And I think I saw in the stats, it was Lewis reached 230 kilometers per hour with a puncture on the Chapel Straight, or not the Chapel Straight, the
Campbell Straight.
Yeah, is that what it called?
Oh,
I,
Thermal straits in Belgium.
I should know. I did the track guide last week, and I just
Yeah, I
completely
don't know what I'm
forgot.
thinking. No, I can't think of it.
The one before Stowe, that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you reached like 230 kph down there on 3 wheels, which is pretty crazy.
No, I mean it's impressive. I mean, I did listen to the audio of his final lap, and even in the post race interview, he said, "Oh no, I just felt pretty chill in the car." I mean, I don't know. I guess he's pretty cool, calm, and collected. Hamilton is. That's what makes him so great. Because
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of other drivers would have overdriven a corner, or he's lucky that tire didn't. It delaminated, but it didn't start throwing rubber all around everywhere because you could have had then your front wing goes and you even lose even more downforce and everything like that. So damage to the car, debris everywhere. It could be penalized as a racing an unsafe car. So he got very lucky. Not only the fact that he had enough gap and that he won the race, but
yeah.
that the actual tire somewhat stayed together for him to get around at the half lap.
Yeah, that's a good point because we've seen a lot of them just completely delaminate before even half a lap is done, and then they're basically on the rim of the car. But the tire held up pretty well once it parked after the race. It was still in some pretty decent shape, had some good rubber on it. So, yeah, getting back actually to one thing that you mentioned, which was sort of one of the bigger incidents of the race, which was Albon and Magnussen. And I'm interested to know what your thoughts of who was at fault and what you thought of the penalty decision because I've kind of flip-flopped back and forth between this. I've looked at the incidents a handful of times. I've looked at what other people are saying on Twitter and online as well. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts were of the incident. Was the penalty to Alex Albon fair? Do you think that it's just a racing incident? Well, how did you see it?
At first, I thought racing incident. That was my first kind of immediate thought was, okay, both of them going hard into a corner. It's a tough corner to pass on, and unfortunate to bang wheels there. But when I saw a look at a couple of replays, I thought the 5-second penalty to Albon was fair because that's not a gap that you shoot at that corner. And when he shot it, there's no way Magnussen could have known that he was there because you're looking in you look in your mirrors and you look at your braking point, right? You look at where you're exiting. In the middle of the corner, usually you're not expecting a car to come up your inside and clatter your wheels. So I think that patience for Albon would have been huge there because he was going to get him whether it was the next lap or a couple corners down. He was going to pass Magnussen. Yeah, I think he just needed to be a little more patient on the timing there because it cost him 5 seconds, which is really matter for him in the end, I guess. But it's still. Put someone out of the race, and it could have been a lot worse. Could have been his own car out of the race. I think patience could have been huge for them.
Yeah, I think that's how I sort of saw it in the end too, because I get both arguments that they didn't show before, like Magnussen had hit the curb pretty hard and kind of got out of shape for that corner.
You're right.
But, at the same time, it's a little bit of a difficult corner to overtake, and Albon had a much faster car. He was most likely going to get him anyway, in the turn 3, 4 little chicanes. And I think it goes back to also if we look at like the Albon-Hamilton incident, which we talked about a few weeks ago, and me and you were making the point, or maybe it was Shaker that was making the point as well with me, that by taking him out of the race and kind of ruining his race, that sort of can't go unpenalized, even if it was just a racing incident.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure.
Because it was a very big hit for Magnussen too. I mean, obviously there's no chance for him to return into the race, but he put him right into the wall as well. So, yeah, I was almost leading to where yes, I see it's a racing incident. Albon went for a gap, but I would agree with you that again we see in this situation that he needs a little bit more patience and know that like it was lap 1 heading into lap 2, so you don't need to get it done right then and there.
Oh, absolutely. Not the ideal scenario for Albon, but it's a learning curve for him. He's still a very young driver, and maybe something that he can. I'm sure Christian Horner said, next time Alex, maybe just wait another corner. You have the car to do it. Haas isn't fast.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think is going to happen this year with the Red Bull's second driver? Because I can't help but see a lot of similarities between him and Gasly's start to Red Bull. I don't think that it's as bad as Gasly's start was. Obviously, he had a couple of accidents in testing, which sort of set the tone for the rest of the season. But Albon's really struggled since the Austrian Grand Prix after losing out to Hamilton there. So what do you think Red Bull is going to do this year? Like, are they going to look to demote the driver again, bring up Kvyat or bring up Gasly again? Are they going to look elsewhere outside of the Red Bull Junior program? Because they're really struggling with that second car. It's just not delivering at all.
they need someone with the talent of Max Verstappen to keep up. And the problem is, no one has that. I mean, there's been rumors of, does Hamilton move over? Does Vettel go back? Yeah, obviously, those are the two rumors now. Vettel's the rumor with Racing Points, and him and Lawrence Stroll bumping elbows. We'll get to that in a second. But the thing is with Red Bull is that they've always relied on their junior driver program. And we saw how well that did for a long time. And it brought up Albon, kind of, I guess. It brought up Gasly. But now, if you look at it, the most experienced Red Bull junior driver is, I believe, Dan Tickton. Don't take that for full credit. It might be someone else. But anyways, the point I'm getting at is that there's not a lot of experience in the Red Bull junior program right now, and they've kind of lost out on a lot of the talent. They brought a lot of the talent up, so there's no one really to fall back to keep promoting these guys. They kind of have to rely on, if they're sticking, Albon, Gasly, and Kvyat, unless they go elsewhere. Could they do what they did with Carlos Sainz and loan him to a different team next year and bring in a bigger driver? That could be a possibility as well. Of course, then Sainz eventually terminated his deal with Red Bull, and I'm sure they're kicking themselves right now because Sainz would fit in perfectly with the Red Bull in that second car. But he's gone to Ferrari, and maybe that's what they're worried about, that they're going to give up on someone too soon, and maybe a loan to another team next year would make sense. But right now, they're kind of stuck in a pickle. And I don't think that Albon can't make it. I think it's the same thing where he's just a tad too young right now.
Yeah, you make some good points, and I agree with you there that consider this, it's Albon's only second season in Formula One. I mean, I think we quickly forget that. But I also think a part of it is that Red Bull has to take responsibility because if we're being honest, they do treat their junior program and junior drivers fairly harshly. Like I remember not long ago, I was watching something on Gasly from last season. It was before like one of the first races, and he was on stage with Horner and Verstappen, and Horner like just flat out says like, "Oh well, Pierre cost us a lot of money early in the season with his accidents." Just like bluntly right in front of him, and then when you watch Pierre's face, it's just like you can see the color just drain from his face because that's such an uncomfortable position to be put in. And I think that Gasly, and I don't know if Albon's being made to look that way this season just yet, but Gasly last year was sort of made to look like the fool. But Red Bull and Christian Horner weren't necessarily a friendly environment for Gasly to be able to thrive in.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, we have to remember we only are in race 4.
Yeah.
Gasly had a very good Austrian Grand Prix. Or not Gasly, sorry. Albon had a very good Austrian Grand Prix. So he's really only had 2 bad races here. Is that fair to say? Like back to back, he's had 2 bad races.
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
so
he did struggle this weekend. I mean, had a big accident.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So it's again, I don't think that he should be demoted. But the point is that he's still quite a ways away from Verstappen. And like you said, I think they need somebody that's at the level of Max because not having 2 cars, especially in this era right now with Mercedes, it's a huge detriment to their team and championship as a whole. So I think their strategy of like Max is our number 1 guy, let's just bring in a second guy. It's not going to work. I'm not saying that you need somebody that's going to bump elbows with Verstappen, but you need somebody at his level, like a Ricardo was, for example, that could still outrace him week in and week out.
Well, look how well the partnership. Oh, I shouldn't say partnership. I should say the petition of Vettel and Weber worked out for a young Sebastian Vettel, and how Weber was good enough, should be a world champion, and that still bothers me. But Weber was good enough to always be challenging Vettel and pushing Vettel, and that's probably one of the things that led to Vettel's four world championships. And Red Bull's success as well. They need to repeat that if they want to get back up to championship level quality.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I'm a big fan of Mark Webber myself, and he was not afraid to rub elbows with Vettel and kind of try and put his mark on the team. Obviously, it didn't work, and I think that's sort of part of the reason why Ricardo left as well. He didn't want to sort of repeat the same fortune of Aussie drivers at Red Bull. But yeah, like Mark Webber, he was older. He had a ton more experience coming through the juniors and coming through in Formula One as well. So he was able to provide a lot of valuable experience and veteran leadership to the team as well. But yeah, I think that Red Bull, I posted this on Twitter and I suggested my sort of fantasy driver market for next season, which would be Vettel to go to Racing Point, which we'll get to in a little bit because that seems likely now. Then from there, I'd put Perez to Red Bull to partner Verstappen, put Albon back with Gasly at AlphaTauri, and then Kvyat can have his choice between Alfa Romeo or Haas for next season.
No, I mean that's a pretty good idea you have there. I think the only thing that you're missing was where's Hulkenberg? Is he coming back, or do you have him in
That's
the
a good
driver
point.
scenario? Because I mean, we didn't get to see him this weekend, which sucks. And hopefully, I believe he's going to be racing in the 70th anniversary race because I think F1 made it a 10-day quarantine for Sergio Perez. Um, so we should see Hulkenberg back, and hopefully he can get a full race and his car actually starts because there's someone that deserves to be in F1 in my mind and is a fantastic race driver and could do well with a lot of different teams. I mean, could see him at Haas. Who knows?
Yeah, I think Hulkenberg's definitely worthy of a seat next season. Could have some opening slots. I think Raikkonen's most likely going to be done with F1 at the end of this year. And I think that Haas and Romain Grosjean, that relationship might have run its course.
Well, did you hear Roman after the race?
Still defending his position.
Well, no, he was saying, he was like, guys, I don't know what to do. I mean, that was the hardest I've ever raced. I gave 100% the whole race, and we're still like effing P17.
Yeah.
So, I mean, frustration is really setting in for Roman.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough. I mean, the car is just not where it's at. So he might look to like sports cars or IndyCar maybe want to actually challenge for wins.
Yeah.
I just found it funny that the president of the Grand Prix Drivers Association was making those moves on Ricardo and Sainz, and then
Oh, yeah.
afterwards was defending his defending.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was Roman's. And Mark Webber came out actually and said Roman. He's like, yeah, like Grosjean has absolutely zero understanding of like wheel-to-wheel racing, which I thought was hilarious.
Ouch.
Yeah,
That's pretty harsh. I mean, you're talking about a podium placer in F1.
yeah, seriously, a long time ago though.
That's right, Lotus.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Red Bull and their whole situation, but I think that if they want championships, they're going to need a little bit of a better second driver, and maybe looking outside the Red Bull program, we're not sure, but I think we're still waiting on the other dominoes to fall in the driver market, and then we're going to be able to see where things shake up.
Absolutely.
And on that, we can just move on to the Vettel and Racing Point / Aston Martin rumors. And I made this a point in my thoughts after the British Grand Prix, where I was watching Ted Kravitz's notebook, and he points out that people in the paddock, the news is that the deal's all but done, and that they wanted to report it or make it public at this race weekend. Obviously, the Perez incident happened, so they didn't sort of want it to be a double whammy of bad news for Sergio, so they're going to wait. Obviously, like you said, you had the little elbow bump between Lawrence and Sebastian.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw
pretty
Vettel
funny.
speaking with Stroll in the pen after the race. So, I mean, again, just rumors at this point. We don't have anything official, but it seems like it's most likely going to happen.
Now, I wonder what Vettel's thinking is from this. Like, does he think that Racing Point or Aston Martin next year is going to be a race-winning car? I mean, they've shown potential, obviously, but um, does he believe in the future of this team, where it's going to be, the new rules package that they're going to be amazing as well? Like, who knows? I mean, it's very interesting to see what Vettel's ideas are going to be here. I want to hear his thoughts behind why he's going to Racing Point, because I mean, I figured he might try to go to Red Bull or try to go to Mercedes or something like that.
Yeah, because he would honestly make a good fit at Red Bull. I mean, I know we thought maybe in the past that he'd go head-to-head and it would be bad with Verstappen, but, maybe actually it would be a good scenario for the both of them because they could both challenge each other and push the team forward against Mercedes. But I know that Vettel said that he didn't necessarily want to go to a midfield team, something like AlphaTauri or like Kimi did to Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
He still wanted to win and achieve things in this sport, so I don't know. Maybe the other part of the whole rumors was that he went somewhere with Racing Point boss Otmar Safnauer in his Ferrari after the race. So I don't know if they signed the contract in the car or what was going on, but maybe he's got some information that we don't in terms of what Aston
Kind
Martin.
of kind of ironic that they're signing the deal in a Ferrari, is it not? Like,
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. Well, it's funny he doesn't have like an Aston Martin yet or anything, right? You'd figure that he would already get a car, but so I don't know. I'm with you. I'd like to hear what his reasoning is, but at the moment it seems like Racing Point might be the head of the midfield come
Yeah.
2022. But then again, with all those big rule changes, it could completely shake things up.
Well, exactly. Who knows what could happen at that point? I mean, Mercedes were kind of in the top of the midfield or whatever in 2013, and then 2014 hit, and they're the best team. So,
Yeah,
and it's been dominant since. So, I mean, kind of it's you never really know with a major rules package change. Um, but at the same time, I mean, McLaren has done a phenomenal job of coming up and being filling in as that number three team,
yeah.
number four team, whatever you want to put it as. Um, and they look like they're consistently good. Like it's not just a couple of tracks. They look like every race they're pushing. So there's another team that could be flying in as well.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Racing Point this year is like they've looked really good in certain practice sessions. Like Stroll was even P1 after free practice 2, and then just for whatever reason like in qualifying they can't bring it together, in the race they can't bring it together. They had bad luck obviously this weekend, so it's like yeah, they did copy last year's Mercedes and we thought that was going to be like a race winning car potentially, but it hasn't come together just yet.
No, not yet. And again, only race four. Who knows what could happen with the continued development of that car. Topping or whatever as you want, but you do have to continue to develop the car a little bit more to get it further and further ahead because everyone else is going to be doing the same thing.
Yep, yeah, for sure. Evolution is going to be key for them. Still don't know anything with the protest in terms of what the result is. Ferrari have also kind of jumped into the whole protest or inquiry scheme, so still waiting on some news there. Maybe we'll get something before we get our preview up at the end of the week, but we'll have to see.
The only thing I did hear about that is that the FIA is going to do one decision on all three protests or all four protests or whatever it is, rather than individual investigations. It's just going to be one big investigation.
Yeah, that makes sense because
Yeah,
otherwise it would drag on the whole season almost.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, moving on then to some other parts of the race. Like I said, it wasn't really much. I wanted to just point out that the Kvyat crash was actually not driver error. It was caused by a right rear puncture. That footage kind of came out after the race. Everybody was making the torpedo comments that they're back in F1, but I know Kvyat was really upset with himself, but
Yeah,
it wasn't his
man,
fault.
that was a hard look.
It was very hard.
Yeah, one of the bigger crashes of the year for sure. But yeah, completely, just a tire failure. And if you're going 200 miles an hour and your tire goes, especially the right rear, that's going to be some trouble. So at least he's okay. Glad that he's okay, and we'll have to see, if he kind of can get back mentally now that he knows it's not his fault. He knows it's the car's fault. But yeah, you're right. He seemed very upsetting. He was shoving the camera away and everything. So he was being a little over dramatic about everything.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I know that was funny. But yeah, that's a scary one to have. Like tire failure, especially like the highest speed part of the track there too, in sector 2. So that was scary. On the Pirelli front, actually, today they made the decision that they're still going to stick with the softer compounds of C2, C3, and C4 for this Sunday's Grand Prix.
Thank
But
God.
yeah, it's good. But they're also I think they were going to raise minimum pressures as well to kind of avoid that. But people thought like, oh, like step softer, it's going to be even worse. But this is going to force teams to do a two-stop, come in earlier, and we should be able to avoid all those issues.
Exactly. It'll just be an interesting Q stop. Put some more strategies in there to make it a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Hopefully, at least. And who knows? Maybe we'll still see some tire blowouts.
We definitely could, especially the speeds that they're doing. I mean, these cars have the most downforce they've ever had, so tires they're being put under stress that we've never really seen before. Especially when you see from the Mercedes and 4 or 5 other cars had same issues. So I just like the fact that they're going to be forced into a two-stop, and if we get a safety car again, we should get a little bit more drama and excitement from this weekend's race.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been a safety car at every British Grand Prix for the last I don't know what it is, a lot of years.
Yeah.
So we should see one again this coming week.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be an interesting race. I mean, Mercedes are most likely going to still be out in front 1 and 2. Their advantage is pretty massive, but I just found that after the safety car periods, it was a very, very dull race because I think of the tire management and everything that was going on. So I just hope that this shakeup a little bit is going to provide us with some more action,
Well,
So
hopefully teams can push a little more if they're going to two stop,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, it'd be nice because it's such a great track, and we've gotten good races here before. It's just this one kind of fell a little bit flat.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're right. Usually the British Grand Prix is um, one of the more exciting races of the year, but well, it was at the end.
Yeah,
As we
yeah,
mentioned, close to a historic, legendary ending, but um, I mean, it still is pretty cool. But
yeah. What do you think? Should Red Bull have brought in Verstappen? Because many think that had he stayed out,
was
would have won the race. So what are your thoughts?
um, it's interesting. You can't predict the future, right? So were they worried about their tire at the end? They saw Bottas go and figured, you know what, just to be safe, we go for the fastest lap. Of course they didn't think Hamilton's tire was going to go. Um, I know they were probably kicking themselves after the fact, but I think it was the right call at the time. You think that you're gonna not catch Hamilton. There's no way,
Yeah,
and I thought it was the right call to come in, get fresh set, go for the fastest lap. Because who knows? Hey, Verstappen's could have gone too, and we could have had who was in fourth, Science.
he was, and then he got
Oh
his
no,
puncture.
that's right. He got a puncture
It
too.
would have been Norris because Norris
Norris.
finished fifth. So what would like Leclerc would have been second, I guess, and then I think
Yeah,
Norris would have been
third.
third.
So I mean, we could have had that happen,
Yeah.
which would have been wild.
Oh
But
no, actually, sorry, it would have been Ricardo on the podium because he
oh,
finished
that's
fourth.
right.
He would have got a podium.
That's right. You're right. Yeah, Ricardo finished fourth. So fantastic race by him.
Yes,
Don't say
very
that.
good.
He was
Yeah,
very good.
he's
Um,
he's a guy we haven't talked about, but is outperforming that Renault.
Absolutely. He's come into gears this year. Like he's gotten comfortable in the Renault, and now he's like, all right, I'm going for it. So,
Yeah,
which is nice to see. But no, I think it was the right call by Red Bull. It sucks that it cost them, a lot of money and points and everything like that. But, um, yeah, I mean, like you said, lucky boy, Lewis. That it all comes down to luck, man. It all comes down to luck.
yeah. I guess you make your own luck, but
Yeah, you got to be lucky to be good and good to be lucky, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Which he is, both
Yeah,
ways.
exactly.
I think it was the right move too because at the time I was like, yeah, they probably should have just stayed out, taken the risk. But Horner said after the race that the tire that they took off in the end had like 50 cuts in it, like little cuts in it. So there was plenty of debris on the track. So there's probably a good possibility that Verstappen's tire would have went off the same way as well, and then they probably would have had nothing. Maybe would have stayed in the points. So they played it safe, and in the end, it doesn't really matter, right? Like even if they would have won the race, it would have been a lucky victory. It's not like they would have won it just because their car was that good and because of the pace. So in the end, it didn't really bother me that much because it's like, well, we know Mercedes is this good, so if what it takes is them to get punctures in order for another team to win a race, I think that's more the problem than whether Red
Yeah,
Bull brought them in or not.
yeah, that's true. That's a very good point.
But I mean, like you said, you can't predict or you can't look back, knowing what you know now and take that into a race scenario.
Yeah.
Everything happened split second decision, so
Can we talk about quickly too? Charles Leclerc somehow quietly sneaking into another podium.
yeah,
Like
seriously, where'd that come from?
he somehow he's doing it. He's keeping that car afloat. And that's the second podium of the year, which we didn't think Ferrari was going to get any podiums this year.
No,
But two podiums for the year, it's 50%. That's pretty good for Charles, and maybe he's somehow has a handle of this Ferrari a little bit that he can keep it up there with the top of the midfield.
yeah, it seems to come down to driving styles because Vettel was like completely nowhere near his pace and could barely keep the car on the track. Had so many problems throughout the weekend. So, but yeah, it's like he just quietly sneaks in there. Got the podium in Austria, now the podium here too. So yeah, considering the fact that it's like you said, they didn't think that they were going to get podiums and barely make it into Q3. Good for him. I mean, and especially when looking at the other cars too, like McLaren have been consistently better, and Leclerc's still sneaking in for a podium. So yeah,
Yeah,
got a good handle on the car.
no, he does. I mean, shows you the race driver he is.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be tough though for him and Science for next season. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if Science is kind of regretting his decision yet.
Probably.
But hey, maybe for 2022, it could be all for the long term.
It's a long way to wait. I mean, that's a good 2 years from now, and
Yeah,
no major reg changes for next season for the most part. I know they can change only limited number of things, so it's going to be a long couple of years for Ferrari, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I think is that the conclusion really for all the race incidents? Did we miss anything?
Um, I'm trying to think. Maybe some inquiries, but I don't think anything major.
No, yeah, I think we covered mostly all the major stuff, the incidents and everything like that. Yeah, this was kind of just a quick debrief of the race and what happened afterwards. But yeah, it's a quick turnaround. Obviously, another triple header coming up on the way. So I'm hoping that this weekend's race is going to be more dynamic, more entertaining. I still don't think that there's really going to be much competition at the front, but I do think that one of the nice things is like this whole tire drama is going to be a talking point throughout the race. So don't leave your TV set. Maybe I think a lot of people did it last weekend. We're gonna have to wait to the last 10 laps again.
Exactly. I mean, my buddy was watching the race. He was like, he turned it off with 5 laps to go. I said, "Oh, did you see that?" He goes, "No, what?" I figured the race was over. So I mean, yeah, there's a reason to stay on your TVs. The race isn't over till it's over, I guess. But hopefully, we have some more tire drama and some interesting stuff happen this weekend to make it a more interesting race for the full length of the race, not just the start and the end.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we want, and celebrating the 70th anniversary whole season. It'd be nice to have a real nice classic race around here.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hotter though. From what I last checked, it's gonna be much hotter this weekend than it was last weekend.
Which is good. That means more degradation on the tires.
Yeah, and tougher for Mercedes too, right? I mean, they struggled last Friday in free practice when it was hotter. So yeah,
I'll get the weather report right now for you. Just give me 2 seconds.
Specifics.
That's right.
Yeah, because they got Saturday, Sunday ended up being only 22, 23 degrees ambient temperature, and cloud cover as well.
So right now we have Friday is at 30 degrees, Saturday 25, Sunday 21 degrees with a slight chance of rain. On Sunday. So that's always hope to have a little bit of rain possibility for Sunday.
That would be a classic, a good mix.
That would be.
Yeah.
That'd be classic Silverstone. But
yeah, it would.
So, well, who knows? I mean, again, who really knows what the weather is? It's. I mean, we thought we weren't going to get any rain. You get rain. I mean, no one really knows what the weather's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think that puts the cap really for the 2020 British Grand Prix on this edition of the podcast. Anything else that you wanted to add? Anything else maybe in the F1 world that's circulating that was on your mind?
Rather than Nico Hulkenberg, which is classic Renegade.
Yeah.
But no, I just hope for Hulkenberg to be able to have a solid race this weekend coming up, and that he can get into the seat, because I really want to see him in that Racing Point and see how he does.
Yeah, I agree
with you.
You.
For him to get a podium.
Yes, I hope he does. Which would put the perfect cap on this whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's the only thing I got.
Yeah, I think that does it for me as well. So schedule, I guess, for the rest of this week, we'll have a preview coming in a couple days' time just for the race. And then we'll see what Shaker's work situation is, if we can get the three of us together for the recap of the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. But if not, we've got this solution too.
That's right. Always make it work.
Yeah, for sure. Just a quick note too, if anybody wanted to send in any questions that you have for the upcoming 70th anniversary Grand Prix, drop those in the comments or tweet us at TBMF1Show, and then I can answer some of those in the preview. Obviously, not much is going to change in terms of track info and tires and things like that for this weekend's race, so it might be just good to take a couple minutes to answer some fan questions. I know there was a lot of discussion online afterwards, and we got a lot of tweets too and replies to some of our tweets that we sent out with some good opinions and good banter as well, so send those in the comments below.
Perfect. All
right, I think that'll about do it for Tyler and myself. Tyler, thanks for joining me. Enjoy the footy match. Was it Brentwood? Am I saying it right?
Brentford.
Okay.
Brentford and Fulham.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a 0-0 right now, so we'll see how it ends.
All right. Well, cheer for Brentford. If you're a fan of the club, comment down below.
If you're a fan of Fulham too, I mean, you got a cool team too. I want to go to Craven Cottage eventually.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's for another topic for another day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we thank everybody for joining us on the podcast. Check out some of our other videos below. We'll link it in the description. It's also on the homepage of our channel. And yeah, another busy week ahead because of the triple header, so more content coming out. We're on social media, of course, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just type in Backmarkers F1 Show in the search bar. You're going to find us there. And yeah, never hesitate to reach out to us. Send us any questions, any inquiries, anything you have relating to the channel. We'd always appreciate hearing from you guys.
That's right. We love your questions that come in, and we're always interested to answer them because you guys come up with some good points as well. So it's nice to have some more topic of conversation for our next show.
Yep, well said. All right, thanks everybody for joining us again, and we'll see you next time.